wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. Happy birthday, Nipsey Hussle.
Yes, indeed.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got our guest co-host Big Sue with us.
Hey.
And let's get right in front page news. Good morning, Teslin Figueroa.
Good morning, DJ MV. Glad to have you back. Good morning, Big Sue. Gorgeous. Hey, Memphis is excited to have you here, Big Sue. I saw all the love on social media. And good morning, Charlamagne the God.
What's up, Braids?
Sue, you got your headphones right?
Hey,
Good morning, Braids.
Sue trying to get her headphones right.
Extra locks. Thank you for
Oh, those are
acknowledging,
full locks.
brother.
You're right.
Tez
What up,
hair
Locks?
got a little locky lock
use these
going
for a
on this morning.
We're just trying to get Sue's headphones in.
And why the hell you got on Crip pants?
These not Crip pants. These are blue. These are navy blue.
Man, this dude got
Hey,
on Crip
it's
pants.
Nipsey Hussle's birthday. What up,
I
cuz?
swear, every Negro I know is going through a midlife crisis.
This is navy
I understand
blue.
today is Nipsey's born day, but god dang, my brother, those are Crip pants.
These are not Crip pants. These are navy blue. You don't even know their
Crip
colors. These are navy blue.
Are those not Crip pants? So
No, don't put me in this, man.
You look
good. You look good, Evie.
Blue.
It is a Bam Bell 80s. What
They're
up,
navy
cuz?
blue.
this dude is nuts, man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Well, let's jump right into it. Let's talk Donald Trump. He's a navy. Crip
right.
is like royalish.
All right.
Really?
Well, speaking
know.
of
Sorry.
speaking of gangsters, blood and Crip gangsters, that heads us right into Donald Trump, the biggest gangster of all. Last night, there was Indictment Watch trending on Twitter. I was up all night watching it, trying to see what was going on. And the latest in the Donald Trump indictments by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, she came in a little bit after midnight to make a statement. And here's what she had to say.
A Fulton County grand jury returned a true bill of indictment, charging 19 individuals with violations of Georgia law arising from a criminal conspiracy to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in this state.
Hey man, Fannie Mae hit Young Thug with the RICO. Now she hit Old Thug with the RICO. What the hell?
Playing no games.
She is not.
And this is actually the 11th RICO indictment that she's done. Yeah, 97-page indictment includes 41 felony counts. She went on to name those who have been charged. Obviously, Donald Trump, some other names that you may recognize, Rudy Giuliani and former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and others. And again, she talked about how she's the queen of RICO. Obviously, this is her 11th RICO indictment. She's giving everybody until noon, high noon Friday, to turn in and surrender. And it looks like we got some snitches. They said there's obviously somebody cooperating with the case that keeps being mentioned in the indictment over and over as unindicted person. So that in the streets that translates to snitching.
I can't even keep up anymore. So has Trump collected all his indictment stones now? Has every?
Wait, is it over? You think it's
No,
over?
I think these are all of them, right,
that it?
Tez? This is all of them,
Yes.
right?
So that
This
means
is
it's
all of
officially
them.
over, right?
Yeah, this is definitely well. I can't say it's all of them. Let me not go on the record because anything can happen because he might get a case for tampering with these witnesses, but we'll see how that's going to play out. But right now, it's been 4 criminal cases over a 4.5 month period. In New York, 31 felony counts in connection with the hush money to the porn star. In Florida, 40 felony counts for hoarding the classified documents and refusing to give them back. In Washington, D.C., it was 4 felony counts for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. And now in Georgia, 13 felony counts for his election interference. That is a total, DJ MV, Big Sue, Charlamagne, 91 felony counts.
Man, for all of y'all who ever said Donald Trump was the first nigga president, that is all starting to look true. Honestly, I ain't never seen a nigga get hit like this. God damn.
But have you ever seen a black person not? He still hasn't been arrested.
That's true. That is true. There you go.
There's no mugshot, nothing.
And that right there lets you know he's not a nigga. Because
There you go.
that is white privilege personified. Not one mugshot. We ain't seen him in handcuffs. Nothing. With
Purple?
91 charges.
Nope.
And the wildest thing that still bugs me out, and everybody keeps saying this, but it's so true. You can't even vote in America with a felony. But this man can run for president
With the felony.
with all of those charges.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Or get housing for a felony. I always got to remember that. I work with a lot of people trying to get housing and can't get, an apartment with a felony in a lot of states.
And
He can't get
hasn't
some
been
jobs. He can't get some
Right.
jobs with a felony.
Yeah, and he hasn't been charged with anything, he hasn't been convicted of anything
Convicted.
yet. But the reality of the situation is if there was anybody else in that situation, they wouldn't be allowed to do anything. They would be removed from whatever industry they were involved in. Nobody would want to stand next to him with that.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah. All right. Well, that is front page news. Tesla, we'll see you in a couple minutes.
Absolutely.
All right. Get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, hit us up right now. Again, 800-585-1051. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. We got our guest co-host, Big Sue.
Good morning.
K97 Memphis, of course. And let's get back into some front page news. What up, Tiz?
What up, DJ Envy? What up, Big Sue and Charlamagne the God?
Peace, Tess.
Now, let's jump right into it now. These school districts are shifting to 4 days a week in some places.
Yeah, more schools started this week. I know Texas started this week, but a lot of schools are changing to a 4-day work week. And let's see what Missouri is doing. Independence, Missouri, what they're doing. We'll talk about it on the other side.
When the school bell rings in Independence, Missouri this year, 14,000 students are trying something new, a 4-day week with Mondays off.
We're adding 35 minutes onto the day, so the instructional minutes will be almost exactly the same.
Superintendent Dale Hurl and his staff have spent months planning for this calendar change. His district is the largest in the state to move to a 4-day schedule. They'll offer 5th-day childcare to families for $30 a day.
If they weren't using any care, well, certainly that could be a potential cost that they otherwise would not have.
I'm all for that. Give me Monday off. That's how I felt yesterday. I think all schools should do that and all jobs should do that.
Yeah, see, I just don't think you could do that without making sure the parents have the proper way to manage and watch their kids, right? Because if you give your kid off on Monday and your parents got to go to work, who's watching your kids?
Same people that was watching them on the weekend. Because that don't mean the parents off on weekends.
Nah, but a lot of parents have off on Saturday and Sunday.
Not
Or one
not
or the
really.
other.
Yeah, or one or the other. But everybody working on a Monday. Now they got to worry about where their kids are, what they're gonna be doing, what they're gonna be doing throughout the day. I think that's a lot.
That's why I said last week we can have like the schools, if they wanted to, the schools could still be open and provide like some extracurricular classes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's social emotional learning, whether it's some type of trade, whether it's
they said they'll be open, but you got to pay.
Financial literacy.
They said they'll be open, but you got to pay. I think it was like $35. They said, and then a lot of people, they use schooling for food. You know what I mean? The breakfast, lunch, and
our taxpayer dollars, we got to pay extra if it ain't open. That's crazy.
Yeah, because they're trying to. I mean, because somebody obviously have to be there to be paid, and one of the issues with the reason why they're doing this is because they're trying to do something for the national teacher shortage, not necessarily because they think the kids, should have less time in school. Because remember, some countries do year-round school. We're kind of the only ones that have such a short school period as it is. Mm-hmm. So with that said, another story that came out yesterday was Cherry Creek School District in Colorado. They hired 459 new teachers, but they have actually raised the starting salary at $58,710, and the normal typical starting salary rate is $35,000. So this really comes down to the teacher shortage and not being able to pay teachers what they should be paid.
I'm all for raises for the teachers, but I guess my question is, remember during the pandemic and they kept talking about how students being out of school and how, they weren't testing, they weren't reading at grade level.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Have they done the research to, decide what's going to happen with this 4-day week?
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right, Big Sue. That has also been proven that we went down. Matter of fact, we did a story on Front Page News a couple of months ago about how the reading scores went down, how COVID made a big difference. I kept my daughter in school during that time as much as possible. So the research has already been there, but they're adding on 35 extra minutes, in the 4-day work week. So I'm not work week, school week. So it's not that like they're taking them out of the, getting the time that they need. They're just shortening it down.
I tell you this though, it would be hard for me, and salute to all the teachers, to want to be a teacher. When I read something a couple days ago that said UPS drivers get $170,000 a year being a UPS driver, that would be hard for me to say. You know what I mean? That would be hard for me.
Well, that's why most teachers, they don't necessarily do it for the money. They do it because they love it. They do it because they have a love for pouring into these students. My mother was a public school teacher, and she just loves pouring into kids. Mm-hmm. A lot of teachers don't do it for the money, and that's effed up because they should be some of the highest paid people in our society.
Absolutely. Especially when you think about somebody who knows a subject so very well that their job is to teach it to others.
And they got to put up with your little musty ass kids. That's what we don't talk about. Like, it's one thing that we talk about the teachers teaching, but no, we drop our kids off with these individuals
7 hours, 6-7 hours a day. Like,
they got to deal with your little badass, musty ass kids all day long.
All right, don't stop with the musty. Kids ain't that bad. Well, all right, go ahead.
I'm just saying.
Some of them
You know
are.
what I mean? It's just like, teachers have to deal with a lot. It's no reason for teachers to be as underpaid as they are. Teachers,
I agree.
military veterans, the way we treat them in our country is disgusting.
Now let's talk about this IRS losing millions of important tax records. They never lose mine, but hi IRS, I know they listen in the morning. Good morning.
Maybe this time you'll get lucky. Let's listen to the report. We'll talk about it.
The Treasury inspectors could be in for a major problem. They're missing millions of important tax records. The Treasury inspector says the IRS is missing millions of individual and business tax records. They were on microfilm cartridges. The cartridges were supposed to be sent for processing, but that never happened. The company that made the cartridges went out of business. The agency says the data could be used for tax refund fraud.
It doesn't mean you should lose yours.
Nope, not at all.
All right? Okay. That don't mean a damn thing.
That's it with that story. Imagine losing. They didn't give any additional information. Are they gonna find it? What's gonna happen? They just said the records are lost, and that's that.
Well, guess what? So, I treat that like God. You people be like, I found God. He ain't never been
find
lost.
the computer.
That's right. I know exactly where my IRS record's at.
Jesus.
Okay, I know exactly where my tax record's at. So when they come a knocking, nope, I had them here the whole time.
All right. Well, that is front page news. Thank you, Tesla.
Absolutely.
And make sure you subscribe to Tesla and Figaro's podcast, the Straight Shot No Chaser podcast on the Black Effect iHeartRadio podcast network, and follow Tesla and Figaro on all social media platforms at Tesla and Figaro.
All right. When we come back, let's open up the phone lines. A gentleman called earlier, said he wrote a book, said he was talking marriage rules in dating, right?
Marriage rule, is it rules or roles?
He said don't put marriage rules in dating, right?
Marriage rules. Okay.
Don't put marriage rules in dating.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? 800-585-1051. Let's discuss. Do you agree?
I don't even know what it totally means, but I agree with him.
What's that?
Like if you just dating somebody, you know what I'm saying, you shouldn't be expecting to be treated like a husband or expected to be treated like a wife. There's certain rules that, apply in marriage that don't apply in just dating.
Well, we'll discuss when we come back. Big Sir, I'd love to hear what you have to say. 800-585-1051. Let's discuss. We're talking marriage rules in dating. Do you agree? Do you keep them out? Let's discuss. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up. Early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.